Hey friends, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Negar. I'm an executive coach, I'm a career strategist, and I help senior leaders navigate big transitions in their career. And if you're wondering where I've been, because I've been away over the summer, I pressed pause for a few months to enjoy the summer with my kids, but also I made some big business changes. And I needed the space to do that. And I'm going to tell you about that over the next few episodes. Today's episode, I want to tell you why mentors aren't enough when you're trying to get promoted. This has come up over and over again. And the way I tackle promotions is different to potentially other people. I'm going to talk about how you can build your promotion board of sponsors who are actively advocating for you and your next role. You're going to leave with a script to make the ask for someone to be your sponsor. I'm going to tell you how to do a mapping tool so that you have the right sponsors. And then we're going to go through a 7-day action plan to get you kick-started because September is a brilliant month to do that. There's a difference between mentors and sponsors. Mentors advise you. Sponsors bet their reputation on you. They put your name forward for roles, amazing projects, potentially compensation or bonuses. And research shows over and over again, if you look at Harvard Business Review, Forbes, and Gartner, it shows over and over again that the difference in having a sponsor compared to a mentor is career changing. There's research done by Sylvia and Hewlett, and it's on sponsorship, and I'm going to link to it in the show notes. They found that male managers with sponsors are 23% more likely to advance, and female managers are 19% more likely to advance. Now, there's a discrepancy between the numbers, which we won't go into, but it just shows that it does make a difference. If you're aiming for a promotion, and this is a great month to do that, the next promotion cycles typically start from January to the following December. So starting to prepare your campaign for your promotion cycle now is really important. So if you're aiming for that promotion, you need advocates in that room that you're not in. When I'm advising clients on promotions, I tell them to treat it like a political campaign. One of the main elements is identifying sponsors. And it's bizarre to me how many of us don't do this. Now, I didn't do this for a good while in my career until I learned the way to get promoted. But that was a very intentional move by me, but also the advice I was given by my leaders. If you have no one in the room advocating for you, you will not get promoted. People don't just go, oh, Negar did a great job. Let's just promote her. That's just not how it works. You need voices in that room. You need sponsors. And this is even more important for people, especially women in minority groups. As I said, I learned this lesson later in my career, but it was because my company was intentional about it. Some companies are not. So you need to get intentional about this. Now, I'm going to talk about the promotion board concept. Think of your advancement like a board meeting. The agenda is you. Your promotion board should include about 5 to 7 people, and they all play a different role. Now, don't worry, one individual can play multiple roles, but I want you to think about these roles when you're thinking about picking a sponsor. The first one is the door opener. They bring you into the right rooms, potentially have you on the right projects that you'd never have access to alone. You need them to open those doors for you. The voice in the room. They're the advocates when you're not there. They're willing to shout from the rooftops for you. They believe in you. The third role is the results amplifier. They're the ones that socialize your wins across your organization or your department or your division. They want you to win. We all know people like that. I can think of about 3 or 4 people that used to do this for me. They love to tell others about your wins. That's another role. The fourth one, the risk taker. They stake their own political capital to put you in those stretch roles, those stretch assignments, because they know that you have the potential to make it happen. The shadow coach, they're the ones that give you that unfiltered feedback that sometimes other people don't. They're happy to kind of go, do you know what? You didn't do that great in that meeting. You should have done X, Y, and Z. You need those people, even though sometimes hearing it is hard. The sixth one is the connector. They're the ones that open up lateral paths. They have cross-functional relationships across the organization. And then you've got the contrarian. They're the challengers. They challenge your assumptions. They challenge you, potentially what you're doing, so that your case for promotion is bulletproof. You may have one person playing 2 or 3 or 4 of these roles, but the coverage of these roles is important. When I'm doing this for my clients, we actually start with a stakeholder map, just like you would for a project that you're doing. But we look at their promotion and we look at all the stakeholders that are there. And from that point, we're able to build out which individuals could become sponsors and which individuals fulfill these roles. I had a VP who was aiming for a general manager role. And we built their promotion board across a number of functions. So I think it was products, finance, and operation. We'd one connector in the parent company and one door opener on the regional board. Okay. Now, the result was, because they had that organizational lateral path and door openers, they were invited to co-lead a really high profile program. And they became the obvious successor after that. I'm going to give you a simple tool, right? So you can design and start to de-risk your promotion path. The first step is, I want you, in your mind, because sometimes the biggest blocker is you actually believing that you could go for that promotion. And you need to believe it before you can convince others and influence others. I want you to write down your promotion case. What are you going to do? You could say something like, I drive X growth by doing Y proven by Z. I want you to write down a one-liner. What are you going to do? I'm going to grow my department by 50%. I'm going to increase headcount. I'm going to grow the amount of sales. I'm going to increase the pipeline of work, whatever it might be. Start to write down what you want to do. And you have to get a little bit excited about it, because promotions and going for promotions are hard sometimes. So when you're excited about it, it can feel a lot more aligned. You need to tighten your beliefs before you start to broadcast it to others that this is what you want to do. You need to practice that belief and that sentence until you actually believe it. I want you to train your brain towards that confidence, that future-focused identity. You may not be there yet. You may not be managing director. You may not be partner. But I want you to start believing it for yourself that actually this is where I want to go and this is how I'm going to do it. Beliefs create your state of being. Your actions then increase your capability and your confidence. And ultimately, the result is you become that belief. And I'm not going to lie, expect discomfort, but you need to just keep going. Discomfort, I have said this before in the podcast, discomfort is the currency for growth, my friends. If you're not willing to feel discomfort, you're not going to grow. Learn to allow it. Learn to see it as normal. Nothing's gone wrong when you're uncomfortable. I don't want you to indulge in, I'm overwhelmed, I'm confused, this is too hard. I want you to expect this discomfort when you're going after big goals. And one of the ways in which I deal with that discomfort now, and I dealt with it when I was in the corporate world, is I do daily thought downloads. Again, I've spoken about this on my podcast before, but I want you to this is how I do it. I take a sheet of paper every single morning and I write down all the rubbish that's in my head, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. Unless you can see it, you can't fix it. Okay. So a daily thought download always helps me when I'm going after a big dream, big goal, a big promotion, because it helps me deal with those uncomfortable thoughts that will naturally come up. Now, the second step, I want you to say this out loud. And I want you to really believe this. Discomfort is a feeling. So the worst thing that can happen is a feeling. And you're able to feel feelings. The worst thing that can happen is a feeling. It's very empowering. The second step is I want you to map out 3 strategic outcomes that you'll deliver. Now, the timeline will be different for everyone. It might be in the next 90 days, it might be in the next 6 months, it might be in the next year. But consider that if the promotion cycle starts in January, they start talking about who's going to get promoted probably around September, October, before the end of the year. Now, you might have mid-year cycle as well, but think about those natural cycles and think about your timeline within those cycles so you can deliver in those. So it mightn't be the full year is what I'm trying to tell you. So I want you to think about the strategic outcomes that you can deliver within the timeline. Make it big, make it bold. You may not know what the right outcomes are and what would be meaningful to your sponsors and leaders, but these are part of the conversations that you can have. I want you to identify the rooms where decisions happen. Is it in the performance reviews? Is there a portfolio or account meeting? I want you to identify the rooms where these decisions happen, okay, where they're going to talk about people and how they're doing and the results that are being created. Then I want you to think about those candidates, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 2, the people that are going to make up your promotion board. Who are the people that can fulfill those 7 roles that I mentioned? And if you can't remember what they are, they're the door opener, the voice in the room, the results amplifier, the risk taker, the shadow coach, the one that tells you the truth, the connector, and the contrarian. Now, what I want you to do is take those. I personally would go and speak to a few friendly faces about my promotion, the big outcomes I want to achieve, how I'm going to go for it, who I need to have as my sponsors, and get some feedback on it. Then I want you to drop those into your calendar because do you know what happens, my friend? You get stuck in the day-to-day stuff. You don't focus on your promotion campaign and the things that you need to do. And then the promotion cycle comes around. No one's talking about you because you haven't invested any time. It's not selfish, okay? You need to do your day-to-day work, but you also need to advocate for yourself. So if you don't get those actions for your promotion campaign into your calendar and time box them and get them done and plan it, it's not going to happen. Now, the third step is make the sponsorship ask. You might have a natural relationship with some of these sponsors, and they're the people that I have found to be the easiest to go to. You may not have a relationship with them. What I advise is having a chat with them. You have to be very strategic about it. It's not just a coffee chat. You need to be very clear with them on your specific ask, why they need to be your sponsor, and the big outcomes or goals that you're going to achieve. And it has to be meaningful to them. It has to be aligned to their function or their area. There has to be something in it for them. So create a little script for yourself. Now I'm going to give you one. But you'll have to tweak it. But this is 60-second script. You could say something like, I'm targeting this role, this level within whatever time frame. And I am focusing on these 3 big goals for the year or whatever your timeline is. And you could talk about that moves a business metric or aligns to a business objective. If I deliver X, Y, and Z by this date, would you be willing to advocate for me in this room or recommend me for a specific opportunity? Now, every organization is different. So this is a very loose script, but something like this. And then you just pause. You don't need to ramble. You don't need to go off on tangents. You just tell them you want to go for a promotion. You want them to be a sponsor. These are the outcomes that you want to create. And then let them come back to you. They'll give you feedback. You'll probably have to tweak your outcomes. They might recommend someone else. Just let them talk. But it will be easy for them to say yes to it. People love being asked to be sponsors. It's very satisfying from a career perspective. So don't just assume that people won't want to do it. Now, the 2 objections I hear when I tell my clients about my political campaign and promotion board approach, they kind of think, oh, isn't it very political? Shouldn't people just notice that I'm doing well? No, that is not how it works, my friend. You're leaving things to chance, and I want you to be successful. I want you to be intentional, and I want you to feel empowered. We don't leave things to chance here. We create the opportunities and we increase the probability of you getting that promotion. It is professional. Sponsors help decision makers see the results you're already driving. They have an invested interest in you, so they will help others see the results you're driving. Now, the other thing some people have said to me, oh, we don't have a sponsorship program. Create it for yourself. A lot of organizations don't have sponsorship programs, which is a shame. But if you don't have one in your organization, create it for yourself in the way that I've told you to create it. There are others in your organization, if you don't have a sponsorship program, that are doing this for themselves, and they're the ones that get ahead. I want you to remember something. The best people don't get the job. The best marketers get it. Okay? So market yourself. You're already doing amazing work. So market yourself and make sure everyone knows what you're doing and the results that you're driving. And if you're a leader and you're not going for a promotion or anything like that, I want you to think about something. I want you to volunteer yourself to sponsor a potential leader. The benefits are unreal. There is links that being a sponsor leads to higher engagement and all this other amazing metrics, and it's very purposeful work. It feels aligned. So if you're not doing some sponsorship already, I urge you to do that. Okay. Now, here's your 7-day action plan. I love an action plan because I'm from a consulting background and I love action. The first day, I want you to create a thought download and create your case one-liner. Empty your brain on paper, separate the facts from the thoughts, and write down how you are going to deliver value, your one-liner value case, and why you should be promoted. Okay, this is for you to believe. As I said, belief needs to come, and then you take action, and then you create the results. I want you to then define 3 outcomes. Now, you might need to go back and forth a little bit on this, but think about your target role and tie the outcomes to that target role. To achieve these outcomes, you need to put it on your calendar and you need to take action to drive the results and outcomes that you want. So honor your plan and do it. Don't let the daily BAU work, all the stuff we have to do anyway, all the normal work stuff to just take over, because then you'll reach the end of the year and you won't be ready for that promotion. Identify the 3 rooms. What are the rooms where succession and compensation gets decided? List them. Be clear on them. There might just be 1 room, but I want you to get really clear on those and get help from a trusted advisor or mentor on that. Day 4, I want you to shortlist your promotion board members. It might be 5 people, it might be 7, it might be 2, but you need to cover all of those roles across functions. And you need to make sure you have 1 contrarian that's going to give you the critical feedback to tell you what you're missing for your promotion. Then I want you on day 5 to draft your sponsorship ask. Okay. I want you to fill in that 60-second script, rehearse it out loud, and go and ask those sponsors to be your sponsor and tell them why. Once you have that script, I want you to book a 15-minute conversation with those people and be really clear on the return on investment for them. Okay, go and make those requests. And then, do you know what I want you to do on day 7? And I want you to do this probably for the whole year, but I know a lot of you won't do this. But even once a week, you're going to feel a lot of discomfort, a lot of confusion, worry, overwhelm. I want you to do a thought download on all of those uncomfortable, indulgent emotions that come up. The worst thing that can happen is a feeling, my friend. Choose discomfort. I know that sounds odd, but if you go into this and say, do you know what? I'm going to be very uncomfortable at times because I'm going to have to stand up on stage. I'm going to have to deliver things I'm not sure I'm going to be able to deliver. Don't indulge in them. Choose them, right? Be intentional about, do you know what? I'm going to feel discomfort and I'm okay with that. That's it for today, my friends. If this episode helped, hit follow, share it with someone that would benefit, and I will see you next week.